Let's talk about episodes 7 and 8. Jack, what did you think of episode 7 entitled The Star?
You're so high energy today. I like 7 more than 8 because
I was thinking you would.
8 is the second act low point, if you will, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
The girlies are fighting, everything, all hope is lost.
Yeah, we kind of haven't gotten any Fionna and Cake like time really for the whole series, and now it's all coming at once. So it's a little jarring, but I don't know. It works, I guess. But we'll talk about that. Episode 7 is the vampire one. Last episode we had Schizo Bubblegum, and now we get Schizo Marceline, which is kind of sick.
More like hot e-girl Marceline.
Yeah, like Schizo GF Marceline.
It's literally that meme of like insane girl and the guys being like, I can fix her in the comments.
I know, she came in, she's wearing like a crazy dress and doing an evil laugh, and I was like, God damn.
Like, oh shit, something's happening in my brain. Episode 7 was pretty sick. I thought that the sort of like wasteland vibes were very engaging and exciting. I thought that the Princess Bubblegum, like being, I don't know, like the commando from Avatar, like the general from Avatar. I thought that was kind of funny. She had the eye patch.
Yeah, she's you're a grizzled war veteran now.
I think this episode deals with themes of parenthood for sure, because we see both the Vampire King being a quote-unquote bad dad to Marceline, and what was Marshall Lee's mom's name? Was it was Miss Abadir?
Get 4 parents in these 2 episodes, right? Because we have Vampire King versus Simon, Marshall Lee's mom, and then Martin with baby Finn.
I thought that was pretty cute when he was like, I like this little guy, and was like feeding him beans. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Martin's actually like a chill bro.
He's so chill that he gets his soul sucked out and dies like 10 seconds later.
Yeah, they do just enough. Have like 1 or 2 scenes so that you know he's chill.
Yeah. So
that you know he's chill like that, and then he gets the super sucker from Marceline.
Yeah. So yeah, Marceline's pretty ruthless in this.
Marceline's pretty bad. Wait, what did you say?
There's a moment where she kills like her minion, and then her other minion kills himself in order to avoid her being mad at him.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
What was the other one? There was a big laugh. Oh right, when the Peppermint Butler tank is like, our repair will be ready in 16 hours, ma'am, and then Bubblegum like punches him. He's like, ow, ma'am. That hurt.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Marceline's so fucking mad the entire, or not Marceline, Bubblegum's so fucking mad the entire episode. She's just like yelling. It was kind of funny.
She is. And when like Simon's like, the Marcy in my world was in love with you, and she's like, I would never. And it's like really up close on her face and scary.
Again, shout out Hinden Walsh, the range.
She's really putting in a lot of effort into this season. She's doing all sorts of shit. Anyway, I think that when we first showed up, I was so excited for a second because in the cold open when Marcy finds dead Simon, I was like, oh shit, this is a world where Marcy and Simon never meet. And then Marcy like gasps when something shows up. And I thought that she was going to die and that Marcy wasn't going to be in the show, in that episode. And I was like, off-screen child death. And then she showed up and I was like, damn it.
Yes, so child death. Let's go.
We have 2 more episodes until when I need an off-screen child death.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to happen.
It's on its way. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. But yeah, I thought that this episode had a pretty consistent drive pacing wise. I think it wasn't as balanced in between Adventure Time and also Gary and Marshall Lee stuff.
It did not do it as seamlessly as 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little bit more heavy on the Adventure Time stuff than the stuff with Marshall and Gary. To briefly touch on Marshall and Gary, and then we can kind of keep going with the Adventure Time stuff. I think that it was cute to see them interact in this world where I think Gary obviously fits in better with some of these people, and he's kind of schmoozing his way. But then he realizes that this isn't a good place for Marshall, and he calls out Miss Abadir in front of everybody and is like, "Fuck it, I don't care about my bakery as much as I do you, Marshall." And then they kiss in the elevator,
Gives
and
it
it was
up
cute
for love.
Yeah,
The power
I thought that
of
was
love.
adorable.
Donald Glover had like 3 lines this episode.
He was it was real tough. He did it on his phone in his car while he's driving to the Atlanta set.
Drunk.
Yeah,
the whole time.
He's like, I got to do this fucking thing for Cartoon Network.
Maybe that's why it was less that world, because like we can only get 3 lines from Donald Glover. He really didn't want to do this episode.
He said, "I'll give you 3 lines of my time."
It's like, I'm not fucking gay.
Donald Glover comes out as a homophobe. You made my character gay.
He's gay?
My character's not slam puss.
I thought this was straight stuff.
Anyway, I think the one good parallel moment besides the "you're a bad dad" back-to-back scenes was when Marceline and Bonnie are falling from the top of the hive, and as Gary and Marshall get into the elevator, and it's like the two of them are like entwined. And I thought that was a cool parallel.
And I wanted Marceline and Bubblegum to kiss, but it's just implied.
Is it implied that they kiss, or is it implied that Marceline or that Bonnie stabs Marceline?
I mean, you have all the match cuts back and forth, and then instead of last shot being Marceline Bubblegum kiss, you have last shot being Marshall and Gary kiss. So in my head canon, because I wanted them. I mean, the whole time that Bubblegum and Marceline are like wrestling and trying to kill each other, and they're like kind of pulling their punches, I just wanted that to break out and they just start making out. So it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck you," and then they just like pause for a second and
Ew, don't make that noise again.
And then the Vampire King's like, "Oh, gross.
Oh,
wait, stop."
He goes, "Oh no, my God, my daughter's gay." He's really supportive. He's like, "Oh, you know what? Good for you. I'm proud of you for being who you are."
"I support you, honey." Yeah, what if he's like a really good dad?
Yeah, Simon's just wrong, and he's actually like super supportive.
He's super supportive of her interests.
He's like, "I learned these new tabs on bass if you wanted to practice later."
Yeah, he's like he was he's kind of older generation, but then he's really being supportive, and he's like reading up on LGBT issues, like, kind of getting involved in the community.
He goes to Pride with Marcy.
There's like 2 people there that they just
kill.
Yeah,
they just kill him. That actually, I could see Adventure Time doing like an episode where it's like cute music playing, and they're having like a fun little daddy-daughter day, but they're also like killing like humans.
Oh, like a montage?
Yeah, I could see Adventure Time doing something like that. Episode 7 was good. The action was really good. I think that it's definitely a step up from episode, what was it? It was Farm World 4? 5. I think that, the action was definitely a step up, and I thought that it was a really interesting world that we were in. Huntress Wizard showed up and said 2 things and then died, but she was cool.
It's sick that they got Jenny Slate and what's his fucking name? Stephen Root for Martin.
Stephen Root is Martin?
Yeah.
He's
Get Out?
Guy in Barry.
From Barry and Get Out, and I know him first from News Radio. And he's in a bunch of stuff, and his voice is awesome.
I meant to ask you, there was probably a bunch of cameos that I missed in episode 7 with all the people in.
Oh, I had my one quiz question for today.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Who were the the big titty girl in the black dress, and then the short midget guy who like Gary's ideas for his candy in the ballroom.
Man, I have no fucking idea. I was the girl Ghost Princess?
No.
And the guy
You get
was
3 guesses.
I saw the heart. Yeah, Ricardo. I saw him. Bonus point? Question mark?
No, because you said his name wrong anyway.
Isn't it Ricardo?
It's Ricardio. It's a pun.
Fuck. All right, no bonus point there. I had no idea. I don't know who either of those people are.
This is kind of weird, but it was Rosalind and the King from the Pillow universe.
Man, I don't know what either of those words mean.
Remember the Pillow episode? And Finn's hot pillow wife?
Yeah, I remember that episode.
It was her and her dad, the King. Anyway, that was my quiz question. You got it wrong.
Yeah, I think I have yet to get a quiz question right. So yeah, episode 7 also has some beginnings of fighting in between Fionna and Cake, the eponymous 2 main characters of the show, who we haven't actually seen that much of.
Forgot about them.
And so Fionna sort of having this like crisis where she thinks that she's ruining everything that she touches and is hurting people, and she doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. Meanwhile, Cake is sort of reveling in these new powers that she has and is wanting to kind of explore and stretch literally what she's capable of and figure out, because she says, like, this is my favorite version of me. Like, I am my best right now. And Fiona's kind of feeling like even though she's in this new world, which is what she wanted, she's not really being herself. And so I think that's kind of where the conflict begins, and it carries over into the next episode with Cake being pissed at Fionna for not letting her take the crown off the Vampire King's head, which she almost was there for.
Yeah, we can get into that. Like, Fionna is all depressed now too, because she feels like she fucked everything up, which she does, to be fair. So justified, but she's just being kind of a Debbie right now. And then that's like pretty much the entire, episode 8 is just depressed core core episode.
I think, if we're shifting completely over to episode 8, I think episode 8 because episode 7 is just basically action with fun Marceline and Bubblegum interactions, and then obviously also Gary and Marshall Lee, although it's not that long. Episode 8, titled Jerry, is a lot more slower paced and like nostalgic kind of, or it's told a lot of the way through flashbacks, because we learned in episode 8 how Simon and Betty really like fell in love. It's like their like origin story kind of, and we get it through the device of Simon telling Fionna the story in order to like cheer her up.
Did you like the Simon Betty whole plot in episode 8?
I thought it was really cute, honestly, until I realized, Betty might be a lot younger than Simon. How old is she?
Well, I realized that Simon is like 40, 35 coded, and Betty is like 20.
I mean,
maybe.
It's a little weird because there's also like a fan celebrity and our like relationship between the two of them, because Betty is like head over heels for him, and he's just kind of like, like a young hot college student wanting to go with me on this expedition, sure. And like they don't even kiss. We don't even see them kiss. But yeah, it's a little weird.
Is this problematic?
That's the big question. Yeah. Is this problematic? I'm gonna say no. I don't think this is problematic. I think that they are both adults. The age gap is weird, but since it's not real,
adults can do whatever they want. But it's just weird that it's in Adventure Time, that it's like a confirmed at least 10-year age gap between Betty and Simon. I was simply not expecting that.
Maybe Simon is like a genius, and so he got his PhD really fast.
But he's like 45 coded because he has his little bifocals and he wears his suits and talks like an old geezer.
I did look up how old he was, and it said that he's 1,045, which means he was 45 when he finally put the crown
so he's
on
45.
and became Ice King.
So he's 45 and Betty is like a sophomore in college.
Wait. But doesn't he only become Ice King when he's with Marcy? So post Mushroom War and like post sort of that whole like the whole world like changing.
Yeah, he's maybe 40 here. And then Betty could be a grad student. I'm trying to make it less problematic.
We're trying to help you out here, Simon, but you're not doing us much favors.
They really code Betty young, too, though, because they have her, like, all happy-go-lucky, and they have her in, like, the headphones at the end.
There's like, also this shot. There's two shots I want to talk about. There's one where Betty looks at a picture of Simon on her nightstand.
And he's, like, sexy. Dresser,
and he's, like, super hot. I was like, why is he looking so, like, good in this photo? And then later when he, like, saves her from going on the bus... he's like looking at her and he's like giving her this like this smolder face.
No, that was cringe, bro.
It was really, that part made me uncomfortable. I liked the whole like story of like them being like romantic and whatever. That was fine. But then when it cut to like them like him like giving her eyes, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is making me uncomfortable.
I feel like I
should be
out
watching
of my
this.
seat, like hands on my head, like. Oh, like come on, man! Like it's
falling to your knees in front of the television.
It was super cringe for an animated show and Adventure Time, especially to have a scene like that with the love music, and it's just going back and forth, and they're like heavy petting. I don't like it. Was short. They kept it short, but. Ooh.
They did keep it short, and they didn't even kiss at the end of it. They just like were like looking at each other. And then blushing.
That was almost more cringe. It was almost more cringe.
Jack's like, please just kiss and get this over with.
I want to point out that we have had progressively more dead universes, which is kind of cool because in episode 5 we had like the Mad Max, which I looked it up, Diesel Punk would be the name of that universe. And then we get the best episode. And then 7, we have like the even more apocalypse universe where all the humans are dead. And then in episode 8, we get everything's dead. There's literally nothing alive. And is the Lich alive? I don't know. But he's the only dude there. And then BMO and... You know?
Yeah, besides BMO, I cheered when BMO came on screen. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. My second favorite character of Adventure Time is back on screen. I haven't seen him since Distant Lands BMO, which I actually haven't seen yet.
And then he explodes.
And then he explodes and dies.
I didn't think they were going to do it that graphically.
It was pretty, like, sad. I was watching it. And he says, like, it would take the bravest little heart of all time. And I was, like, welling up. I was like, oh, my God, he's so cute. And then I was like, I should show this to Kristen, my girlfriend, because I think she'd really enjoy this. And then he dies. And I was like, never mind. I can never show this to Kristen because that would break her.
He dies really hard because he, like, explodes. And then he's just burnt to a crisp.
And then they have, like, a sad funeral scene of them burying him.
Yeah, like, damn. I did not think they were going to kill... BMO that hard. But that's just kind of the tone of this episode.
It's very sinister, kind of like episode 4, where like something is brewing the entire time. When BMO started doing like the wearing other people's clothes and being other characters, I was like, oh, this is sad now. I thought it might be like an old decrepit bubblegum, but then I was like, oh, it's just BMO. That's actually really sad.
Yeah, I mean, they did keep it interesting because, like, first, not a ton happens in the A-plot, but they kept it interesting because first I thought that they were going to, like, find old 1,000+ years Ice King and Bubblegum because they're immortal. I was like, oh, who could still be here? But then, yeah, BMO does that thing, and then I'm like, oh, are they doing like a BMO senile, like kind of evil, unreliable thing? That would be interesting. But then they don't do that either. They just have no, everyone's literally dead, and then the Lich is the only guy kicking around still.
It did make me scared to see the Lich again, though. He still invokes that primal fight or flight mechanism within me.
Sounds like they got Ron Perlman too. Woo!
Yeah, when he said cease, I was like, oh shit.
Oh my god. Say the line, Lich.
Say the thing, Bart. Yeah.
It was a little bittersweet because, we were talking about no more Lich. He's always the villain. Although I'm hoping he won't actually be the villain because it looks like they go to Golb at the end. Also, Scarab is in this episode. He's kind of been in the background, and then he's just doing weird stuff.
Did Scarab fall off? New clickbait title. I think that Scarab is definitely taking a backseat, which I think is sort of on purpose.
Because you get your main villain, and then your Scarab background villain. It's fine.
Right. I don't think it's a huge deal because he still is a threat, and I think he's going to be more of a threat for these last 2 episodes that are coming up. Holy shit, we're already in the last 2 episodes. But what did you think about all the cosmic stuff and sort of like the waiting room and seeing Orbo, who is not a character that I remember? What is he from?
He's a new guy. He's not from anything. That stuff was cool. Like, to me. I don't know. It was just it felt like, oh, we have to have Scarab doing something. Like it didn't really matter. They're talking about like, office politics or whatever. And it wasn't super. I didn't like the animation style or like how they tried to keep it visually interesting. Didn't really work for me. So I did not really love the B plot in this.
Who do you think the boss phone belonged to? Is that Golb or is that someone else that we haven't seen yet?
I think it's definitely got to be Golb Betty because you see her in the Lich's eye at the end.
True.
I guess they're dropping into Golb's office or whatever. I don't know. This episode, both of the episodes were good, but they just seven didn't thread as well as 6, although the action was better, and then 8 was like your depressing low point episode, which it was really depressing, but it wasn't super interesting to watch. They were both fine.
I think we went from such high highs of episode 6 and then have kind of come down because not every episode can be episode 6. Bros.
Mixed state.
I think in terms of episode that I liked better, I liked 7 more. It felt like more of a contained story. And I liked the kind of back and forth between Marshall and Gary, even though it wasn't as good as 6. But episode 8 kind of was just very middling and depressing, although it was really fun to see BMO again, but then he fucking dies, so I was not a huge fan of that.
8 feels like it could have been like the length of a regular episode of Adventure Time. It's mostly just Simon Betty backstory.
And a little bit of like Cake resentment against Fionna.
I guess that's the big thing in this episode too, is you get Simon Betty, and then you have Cake and Fionna hating each other. I guess they make up by the end, so it's not really even that big of a thing.
BMO's death brings them closer together.
7 is up there though. That was a pretty good episode. It's maybe my third favorite so far.
I think we're kind of coming off of an underwhelming 8th episode. If it was just the 7th episode, we'd be like, yo! But because we have the 8th episode in there too, it kind of like brings us back down to earth a little bit.
Oh, that episode grounded me. That episode centered me.
Any predictions for the next episodes? Obviously, they're going to go see Golb.
I want to see Golb as soon as the episode starts. And Golb Dimension sounds cool. I want to go to there. And then I also want Scarab to be, a bigger threat. Because, he's been doing his thing for the past 4 or 5 episodes. Like, Scarab can be an actual threat as a treat. It would be nice in the last 2 episodes.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to episode 4 of our mini-series about Fionna and Cake. If you liked the episode, let us know in the comments. And if you didn't like the episode, also let us know in the comments, but be nice because we have fragile feelings. Be sure to tune in next week for our talk about the finale of this show, and we will see you then. Bye!